water supplied by a public municipality or a private well for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. Supplied by a public or a private well. Use Purified Water. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. Joining us all the way from the Baltic Sea is our special guest, Mr. Kurt Page of the Gyor Sharks, the newest head coach. I should maybe lead with that. The newest head coach for the Gyor Sharks, all the way in Hungary, but he's joining us from the Baltic Sea right now. Kurt Page, welcome to the show, baby.
Thank you, Billy. Just love your enthusiasm, man, and your show and just everything that you stand for. And yeah, I'm in Baltic Sea. I just agreed on my second contract here in Europe after coaching for a lot of years in the States, and just really blessed, man, to be here in the beautiful places of Baltic Sea and Europe and getting a chance to lead the Gyor Sharks this upcoming season.
That is so awesome. I'm so happy for you, man. When you sent me that text saying that, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a big deal. I felt like Adam Schefter over here. I got the breaking news before everything.
Yeah.
Now
we need guys like you, Billy. You here in Europe and all over, guys that are breaking news and guys that are innovators and sticking their leg out there and not just testing the waters. You jumped all the way in, brother, with your webcast podcast. You really have.
Thank you.
And you have great guest, and you're really going in hot and heavy, and that's what it takes.
I appreciate it. It's very hard to one of the biggest challenges of this is trying to find people to come on the show. And excuse me, I'll talk. I've always said this. I'll talk to anybody, but there's certain people that have a story, and I like to highlight their career and or their life. And we've had some really, really awesome guests on here. Not one single person I've had on so far was like, I ever think, oh my gosh, I'll never have them back on again. I've enjoyed every single moment of it. Now I'll be honest with you, there were times where, if I don't know somebody very well, like I know you, but I don't know you. And there's a couple people that I work with or coach with the same way. And I'm always nervous. I'm like that duck on the pond. Everything looks great up on the surface, but under the water, my feet are going like this. It's 100 miles an hour. It just, in my mind, I'm like, what are we going to talk about next? What are we going to talk about this? Because I don't do questions. I don't have it. I have no script right now. I have nothing. It's all up here. Whatever comes to mind, I want to say. And it's communication. It's a two-way street. I'll bring up a topic. You say something to rebuttal or respond to it, and then we just keep going. It's just rapid fire, and I think that's the most genuine conversation that someone can have with another person.
Absolutely, Billy. You want to stay in your creative voice, man. You want to be in there, and not your critical voice. Your critical voice really, that's the enemy. They really shut you down and really say things you can't do. And we've been around all those people, man. We've been around coaches and players and just people in our presence that say, you can't do this. He can't see the field as a quarterback. He can't run the right routes as a receiver. He can't do this. And that's that critical voice. You want to stay creative, and that's what you bring with the podcast, and that's how you attract. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in being in alignment, and you get around as many creative voices and people. That's only going to make you better and bring out your creativity. So that's why I'm honored to be on here today. I met you at Prattville, your brother coaching the offensive line for the Prattville Lions, and I was able to meet you through him, and just had an instant attraction, man. So let's ride.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for all that. I appreciate it. And that means a lot coming from you. It really does. And my brother, by the way, has spoken nothing but highly of you. So he's a big Kurt Page, or KP he calls him, but he's a big Kurt Page fan. But so hey, it's not about me. I want, you're on here because you are where you are today. So I want to go ahead and just start by saying, like, hey, what are you doing right now? I mean, obviously, we just broke the news. You're the newest head coach of the Gyor Sharks in Hungary. And I mean, you got to be ecstatic. I mean, I'm surprised you're not having the cervezas or the beers up in the air, and there's a mariachi band or something behind you celebrating. No pyro, no ticker tape parade. Tell me what you're going through right now.
Well, just a lot of just being gracious and being humble and just being thankful. Like we talked about pre-show, is just I wanted to get my second contract in Europe. I came here with a purpose, a mission to spread just the love of football. That we've got. You've had it. I've got it. A lot of guys from southeastern states. We're in a hotbed of football for not only America but for the world. And so for me to be in Europe, to get a chance to share that with my quarterback, DJ Irons Jr. last year, and now to get a chance to share my second contract with the Gyor Sharks, I'm very excited about that. And, I'm just thankful from the good Lord that he provided me this opportunity.
Right.
2 years ago, just a little backstory, I went to Jerusalem with some coaches and had a chance to be a coach for football camps, and I coached quarterbacks, and they named me the quarterback caddy when I was there, because basically I was just helping the quarterbacks that know how to throw the ball. They know how to do their reads, but sometimes you need that second voice, that creative voice,
right.
of like, hey, check down routes mean first downs, which mean touchdowns, take the low hanging fruit, stuff like that. That's what I love to share with the quarterbacks. And like I said, my rookie this past season, DJ Irons, he set a record for the European League of Football, first quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards. I mean, that kid is Lamar Jackson 2.0, and we finally got him on the same page with the quarterbacks and receivers and all the personnel there with the Panthers. So we're excited for him. He's re-signed. He's going to be their quarterback next year. So the year before, when I got there, we came in a month early, DJ Irons Jr. and myself. And, they had 4 quarterbacks. Yeah, Billy, they had 4 quarterbacks the season before. So our goal was to be one quarterback coach the season, and to see it through and develop a program, because really in any program, you're only as good as the quarterback, and you got to build your whole organization around your quarterback and his strengths. And right. I see that hopefully they're going to do that now. Wish them all the well, and know that they're in good hands with DJ Irons as a quarterback.
Yeah, just by speaking highly of him, he sounds like a great guy to have as your quarterback, and that takes a special kind of person to lead. I mean, whether they want to or not, the quarterback's your leader of the team, just like your middle linebacker is normally the leader of the defense. That's why they give him the earpiece. In the NFL, they want to talk to the middle linebacker. They don't want to talk to the guy in the back. They want to talk to the guy right there in the middle of the action.
Right. That's right.
But that's awesome. I knew you were on a different squad this year. You kept sending me and my brother and I highlights and stuff, and just more information about the team, and I think it's such a big it's a big component of what's going on over there. I'm glad to see football over there. I love to see football in places where football's not normally played.
Oh yeah. Bill, we have that going on 100%. We've got guys from we got a young man, Ott. He's from Estonia. He's the first player to play in the ELF from his country. So that's quite an accomplishment he made this past season. He's one of our receivers. He's an outstanding receiver. Ottener, he's going to be just an outstanding player for the Panthers for years to come. He's a rookie as well this year. So you have a lot of firsts going on in Europe. You got guys representing their country the first time ever to play professionally in the European League of Football. And then you've got guys that come over here like DJ Irons Jr., he's a rookie. He had a great career in college, got injured, had over 10 surgeries. So his backstory is one of a guy that was disappointed himself but injuries happen, but he never gave up on his dream, and that's become a professional quarterback. And that's what he achieved this year as a starting quarterback in all 12 games. So that's what I try to build up, guys. I try to find them where they're at, Billy, and help them get what they want to get as soon as they can get it. So that's my goal. That's my goal with Gyor Sharks, is to help lead those young men. I get to coach the junior team. They start up. We got a match coming up September 21st. So we'll have 4 practices with those junior players. And then we'll have the College Cup. That's later on in November. And then the professional team starts in the spring. So looking forward to coaching all 3 levels. Now, I'm a teacher at heart, so I get to teach the sport of football, like you said, to younger players and their development like a club. This is their 20th year to be in existence as a club football team organization. So excited to be a part of that tradition.
That's awesome. It's a little similarity to that. I mean, it's on a smaller scale, but that's how we do. My son is 11. He'll be 12 in November, but he plays in 12U, and that's Pop Warner. And down here we call it Wolfpack because we're the Raiders. That's a long story, but we're the Raiders and we're wolves, but a Raider's not a wolf. Anyways. So anyways, we do Pop Warner. We have 6, 8, 10, and 12U. And then we have the middle school, and then we go to high school. Well, right now I'm in that transition. This is my first year at 12U, and this is where we have some middle schoolers come down and play, or that they play both. They play both on Tuesday nights for the middle school.
Right.
But they also play on Saturdays with us.
Right.
And that's our feeder program. That's our that's how it's just like you're saying, like that's how we get started. And that's what's made us successful over the years. Not only great coaching. You got to start with there, but just the product, the swag, you would say, the whole dynamic package of it. It's just something that these kids have wanted to be a part of since they started playing. I mean, we got on Friday nights, you'll look over the side of the field, not on the field, but in the across the fence, and they've got their own pickup game going on.
They're probably better plays over there than going on the highlight. They're making highlights over there.
Yeah. So that's these kids have been. This is what they've been bred to do. This is It's a special place.
Yeah.
And it's getting tested with the whole, I can go play here and I can go play there, but people stay here because they want to be a part of something special. And I get it. It's a wonderful thing.
It's a great story. Yeah, Billy, that's what you want in any community. You want to tap into that emotional input for those players. You want to manage everyone's emotional undercurrent. You got to tap in. That makes when you're reading a really good book and you become emotionally attached to those characters, emotionally attached to, as a reader, that's what you're doing as a community member. You're becoming attached to that community. And that's what the Sharks have been doing with their junior team, their college team, and their professional team. They'll have some players that play, like you said, on 2 teams, and have some players that are in between the college team and professional team. Balance both things and developing attributes that are going to be successful. And so you have that continuity, and that's what we're looking to be a part of, come in there and to help them just not only continue that after 20 years, but also to improve on it and put our spin on it and get no pun intended, but get everybody on the same page.
Right. Yeah, right. How many times have you said that?
Well, I'm also at a point as a 62-year-old, I'm looking at turning the page too, so
turn the page. That's right.
My nephew, he's at Mary G. Montgomery, and they're starting off fast their season. They're 2-0, and I'm talking to him weekly just on their program development and their head coach. Shout out to him, Zach Golson, and just all the guys there, Ro Jones and Coach, just all the guys, and just a lot of guys that I've been impacted by and for and with.
Right.
And we're always, as teachers and coaches, this, you're one of us. You're always developing, you're always sharing, you're always growing. And once you stop, then it's time for you probably to stop and get out of coaching, because
Right.
you want to be a sponge for others, but you also want to help people get what
Right.
they want as soon as you can get it for them. And so that's what we're trying to do. And I'm excited to see your son. I know he's going to be excited player for junior high coming up and for high school. And in my home state in Tennessee, you know, they have a one-time transfer rule now, and they also have NIL for high schools. So you know, there's some Instagram messaging, there's some
Yep.
direct trying to recruit guys, and I'm sure it's happening there in Florida as well. I know in Alabama it happens, but you try to keep your homegrown kids at home, and that's what we're going to try to keep doing in Gyor. Is we've got a good stable full of players there in our town. We're the only team in junior in the Hungarian league and the junior league that is outside of Budapest. So we have our team is right outside of Budapest. So we're going to make sure our kids stay at home and they grow and develop and become champions in the Hungarian football league.
Speaking of that area, what's that like? What's how receptive are they to American football?
Well, they just love it. You know, they have been playing it now for 20 years. And so really the action that they have is basically one of, you know, they're learning to play the game. And that's what American players and coaches, because at the professional league, you know, you can have imports. That's what they call the American players. And so you basically you can have a couple of American imports on your team. Usually you go and recruit a quarterback, or if you have a quarterback that's homegrown, maybe you have him, maybe you pair American running back with him, American receiver, and then on defense you have a defensive end. So what those guys do when they come from America, and I coached with one of the guys that played on one of the teams right outside of Gyor. He played for the Crushers, and Trevin Howard. So he lives there in Budapest. Actually, I'm trying to recruit him to keep coach. He was my Irish receivers coach at Panthers this past season, and he's a former player and a coach. So he's a guy that is becoming more and more attractive for all the coaches and the players to know what American football is all about. You know, like you and your brother, if y'all came over here for a week, you know, they would ask you all the questions like we're talking about. You know, how was pre-game meal? How was post-game activities? How was in-game, you know, strategies? How did this work? How does that work? Because they watch it on TV, but until you have someone that's actually lived that life and been a part of that, you know, it's hard to do it, you know. So that's what I'm really blessed by, because they really are receptive. They want creative voices, and they want creative people to influence them in a positive manner. So I'm up for the course and up for the game. I appreciate it.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad to see that people are receptive to, because you know, you know how people are with bringing new stuff in, and especially if it's not, you know, talking about homegrown, if it's not something that they are accustomed to, it's hard to. It's, you know, it's like when they brought soccer to the U.S. I mean, there's, you know, it's kind of slowly getting more popular, but you know, back in the 90s, 2000, when they started started thinking about doing more with that sport, it just wasn't as, you know, accepted as it like it was like, you know, because you've always got the top dog. You got the NFL. That's the most dominant sport in America. I don't care what people say. They say baseball, they say basketball. It's the NFL. The NFL's only on half the year, maybe not even that, and it's the most dominant thing. People watch. Look how many people watch the draft. I mean, they look at those draft parties where there's millions of people out there, you know, either watching or on at that site, and it's incredible. That should tell you exactly who the top dog is. So I was just, you know, it's refreshing to hear that, because you also, you know, the way I operate sometimes is if I go to a great restaurant and you ask me, hey, Billy, do you know of a great restaurant? I'm going to tell you about that restaurant. I don't keep it a secret. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to go there. Now, they may not have the same experience that I did, and that's going to happen. Where they're like, you know, oh, that just didn't, I didn't like it, you know. But at least I'm going to tell them about it.
That's right.
It's always great to have something that you're proud of, and you go, hey, you know what, you should definitely go here, or you should listen, you should watch this team, or something like that. It just
well, that's building the case for when you either want to be good or great. So you're working from good to great, and that's what you want to bring every day. You want to bring experiences that were great for you, and hopefully as you share them, it'll be a good experience for someone else. Right. And then hopefully they can go experience that. And like you said, you can't determine how their experience is going to be at that restaurant, but you had a great experience, and you tell that to enough people that someone along percentages are 3 out of 10, that 3 out of those 10 people are going to have a great experience. Right. And so they tell 10 people, and then the 3 out of 10, that's one of the models I live by. I try to really coach up as many people as I can, being positive, leaving them a better person than the way I found them, and sharing with them, the blessings they really have. So many people are so negative, and so have that critical voice is what I like to say, because they want to be told what they can't do. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough experience. I don't have this. I don't have that. And they live in that world. And so the enemy then wins, because then your creative voice, that's why people love being around kids and love being around puppies, kids and puppies, because they're just creative, man. Little kids, like you're talking about your guys playing on the side field there. I remember when I was 10, 11, and 12 playing at West End Junior High, when my brothers played at Father Ryan on the field, I was over there playing. We called it paper cup football. The paper cups, they were out. They put them like a ball, and you threw it off, and you tackled and caught the ball and threw the ball, and you played the whole time. And then, you know what, Billy, at the end of the day, I didn't know who won the game. My brother and they'd be like, what'd you think of the game? Oh, man, well, I made 16 tackles in my game. Well, I'm talking about our game. I'd be like, oh, my brother Petey and Gary. And I was little bitty when my oldest brother, who's my hero, Anthony, when he played. And he played at West End High School, and his senior year played at Hillsboro. But, you got your own game going on. That's what you want. You want them to have that experience. So that's the great experience. And
promotional consideration paid for by the following: Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wire. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Pennsauken's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and puff. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Looking for custom apparel that stands out? Welcome to the Stitching Heifers, Bushnell's premier embroidery and custom apparel shop. From custom hats, t-shirts and jackets to unique gifts and business branding, we specialize in high quality, personalized apparel that reflects your style and vision. Step into our exclusive hat bar and design your one-of-a-kind custom hat, perfect for personal flair or promoting your brand. At the Stitching Heifers, we're committed to bringing your ideas to life with exceptional service and attention to detail. Whether it's for you, your business, or a thoughtful gift, we're your trusted partner for all things custom in the heart of Sumter County. Stop by today or visit us online to get started. The Stitching Heifers, custom style, local heart. When it comes to building in Sumter County, experience matters. From remodels, barns, additions, and accessory buildings to creating the custom home of your dreams, our Hogan Construction delivers quality you can trust. Russell is hands-on and on-site daily, going above and beyond to ensure the project isn't just completed, but crafted to perfection. He doesn't just meet expectations, he exceeds them. For a builder who puts integrity and craftsmanship first, call R. Hogan Construction today at 352-793-5600. 7660. Russell Hogan Construction. Built on tradition, built to last. Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck.
And what you're building and part of, share that to enough people, and maybe there's some kids and some families in y'all's program now or in your school that aren't experiencing that. Maybe they need to experience that. Share that with enough people, man. A lot of people think, that's the beautiful thing here. That's what I'm gonna say, Billy, is these kids don't pick up the sport of football here to around their 15 or 16. And Gyor's been around long enough now that they're actually getting kids that are younger, so they're introducing like flag football. They're introducing those activities. And like you said, that's how you build. And so you've got to be able to create that pathway for success. And it's not about winning and losing. It's not about scoring touchdowns. It's about experiences. And that's what you've talked about the whole time in our conversation. You didn't even ask me about their record last year. We haven't even talked about those things. It's about experiences and being part of that. And that's what you got to have, because the scores and all that, people are going to forget that, what they're going to remember is how they experienced it. And like nobody's asked you, what was the meal you had at the restaurant? They just know your overall experience was a great one at that restaurant.
That's right.
And so that's the neat thing. And that's what we're trying to do. And that's what you're doing with this podcast is hopefully somebody will hear this message and understand, hey, I don't have it as bad as I think I have it. Hey, I've got opportunities. I went to Jerusalem, got to coach there for 2 weeks. One of the young coaches that are impacted, he came and lived with me in Mobile for about 6 months. From that point, we reached out to another coach that he knew very well that happened to be with the Panthers the year before. I mean, God had all this all planned out. All I had to do was say yes.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So then Yaniv, we called that coach, and that coach called the general managers, the organization there at Panthers. Within 48 hours, I had a job offer to come to Europe, and I said yes. And so I was here. And then 48 hours after we had parted ways with our head coach here, and they're in search for a new head coach at the Panthers. And so I ventured out and communicated with the Gyor Sharks, and within 48 hours got an offer. And so I'm just blessed. This is my second country to be in, and just really, really looking forward to it. But you know what? If you stay in your creative voice and you allow that to work, God has a great plan for you, man. He really does.
Absolutely. To see where you start and where you are now is it's a humbling experience. I can go back and watch the first episode, and I mean, even if you, I mean, the only I got into this. Excuse me. I got into podcasting because my job, I drive around a lot, and so you can only listen to so much music, and then I hop in and out of the truck a lot. And so I was like, well, why don't I just start listening to podcasts? So I started listening to the OG, to the guy that everybody likes, is Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm thinking I could totally do this. And so I started to start the process of getting things figured out. And I've been inquiring this for a couple years. And then finally I just said, you know what, there's nothing to it but to do it. And I just put all my stuff in all my eggs in one basket, man. I just said, I'm doing it. I'm gonna, like you said before, jump off in the deep end. I'm jumping.
That's right.
And I did. And to go to see, even Joe Rogan, the first episode, he's doing a webcam from his laptop back in 2009 or 8, whenever he started. I mean, he's been doing it forever, but he had to start somewhere too. Nobody taught him how to podcast. He didn't go to school for that, nor did I. So I mean, I've learned a lot doing this, what to do, what not to do, and that just comes with experience. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're doing a podcast, playing football, life. Right. It doesn't matter. It comes with experience, and you'll never know what to do unless you actually do it. So I just take these little, and things have gone wrong. I've had audio fail. I've had video fail. I used to have GoPros, and they were great. They were great starting out. If you're starting a podcast, GoPros are great. But the thing is, they get so hot they overheat. Well, they don't tell you that on the box or on the reviews. So I'd have them hooked up, and all of a sudden I could be talking and just the screen would go black. And you go back and there's still some episodes where that happens. And so, but you don't learn or try to figure it out unless it happens to you. Now, if it went smooth sailing from day one, I probably would never learn anything. It'd be like, it's just,
that's where you grow, Billy. You grow during adversity. When you see this city behind me 3 or 4 days ago, I think I sent you pictures of what it looked like. It was black and gloomy, and the weight was pounding this sand. Today they're smooth, and so right today, it's probably easiest for any person out there trying to sail that boat, to get across the sea, this Baltic Sea. But the other day it'd been tough. Yeah, that's growing adversity. And that's why you have your son playing football. Yeah. You want to have adversity. You want him to go through, nothing traumatic injury, but he's going to get nicks and pulls and bumps, and you got to teach him, the difference between being hurt and injured. Are you just hurt? And hurt means, well, I got a bruise. I can get in the physio. I can get healed up. I can be ready to go next week. Yeah. Or am I injured where I need to go see a physical therapist? I need to go see, that type of, different injuries. And you want him to develop that toughness. And I think that's why you want your son playing football. One of the reasons to develop toughness, because this day and time, there's really no other places they're going to get it. And if they're not playing sports and I call football a collision sport. It's not just a contact sport, it's collision. Yeah. You got to love to be running into, as a quarterback, I don't teach a lot of throwing off the platform because, nowadays, you're going to get moved off your platform. So you got to get used to, people being around you, people grabbing at the ball. A good quarterback has all those attributes, or should be training to have all those attributes, because it's not just, you see guys like 7-on-7, years ago, when I was a coach, basically I was bored one summer after Texas A&M and decided to start 7-on-7 in Nashville, Tennessee, actually in Franklin, Tennessee, at Battleground Academy with 12 other coaches. We started playing it back in the 1980, I think it was 87, summer of 87. That's how long ago we started. Wow. And basically, it was a good thing. Everybody was, oh, this is great for quarterback development. And I said, no, what it's great for is the defensive backs and the receivers. They get some one-on-one battles against very good people for multiple reps. You get them off the basketball court, Billy. You get them on the field, and you play basically basketball on grass, Yep. And that's how I recruited all my players when I was a young coach and, developing programs. I would go to the basketball coach, and I'd go to the baseball coach, and I would network with those guys and collaborate. They don't have to major in football to play for me when I was a coach in high school in the States. And that's the same thing. I'm gonna talk to these Gyor Sharks. We need guys that have experience playing handball. We need guys that have done any track and field. You don't have to major in football to become a great Gyor Sharks player. You know, we need to reach into those areas, those sports and professions, and see if there's some kids that we can get them to come take football, you know, tackle football and try to play. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk to management and organization about, you know, making sure are we going to the schools in the area? Are we promoting football? And that's what I'm going to present to them, because it takes that to develop, you know, young people. Because like I said to you earlier, I said, you might have your son might have somebody in the classroom that they need football. Maybe home life isn't great. Yep. You know, maybe mom and dad are upset and financial problems, but they can look forward. If they're on the football team, man, they've got something stable. They got practice, you know, in the afternoon. They've got a team, a game, you know, something bigger than themselves. And that's what I think a lot of people forget as they become older. If they played football, they forget that this life is bigger than themselves, right? And that's when they love football the most is when they played for each other, and they played for their coaches, and they played for their city, their town, just like you mentioned about where you're at now with your son. And so that's what it's about. And so you need to always get back to those roots. So that's what's exciting to hear from you and to know where I'm going to be going for Gyor Sharks, you know, just to pour into these guys, because that's what it's about, is meeting them where they're at and then bringing them along and helping them become better people first, right. Players, because that's that's what I learned through my doctoral studies. I studied over 150 high school coaches, and basically it was about emotional intelligence for high school coaches and their staff synergy. And what makes successful coaches, we learn that coaches that have the right emotional background, meaning that they understand that players go through things. Players are not their best every practice. Maybe they've had 3 tests that day at school. You know, you need to know these things when you get out to practice, that kid, they've had 3 tests. They're mentally drained. You know, so you probably need to take a different slant on practice. You know, maybe you had more teams practice set up, probably need to go to more individual, you know, where right. They can play and run and work on their skill set so they feel like they can get something accomplished. When you get in a team setting, for example, that's like a test. That's like a game. You know, 11 on 11, that's a game where you're playing 1-on-1 football or 7-on-7 or, you know, half line. You know, that's more like a school day, you know, where you're learning, you know, you're working on, coach told me to step my left foot, right foot, left foot, you know, my second foot, my power's in the ground, you know, blah, 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 whatever the coach is teaching. In a small setting, it's better. So you're getting a kid that's not mentally as alert because he had all those tests, Billy. That's just one example. But that's what experience has taught me, and when I've been around coaches, and I try to share that with all the coaches, you know, you have to find out about that kid, you know, find out what they've been going through and help them. And same thing with your coaches you're coaching with, you know. Somebody's house might have had could have had plumbing problems last night, you know, one of your coaches. He stayed up all night dealing with the plumbing, you know, and you talk to him, what's going on? And they have to trust you and have a chance to talk to you about things. And that's the beauty of what I learned about EQ. EQ is so important, emotional intelligence. And you better players, you better coaches, you better people have the higher EQ. And that's a 100%. You know that's going to be happening for you.
You brought up so many great points on that, but one thing I got out of that was I learned. I've been coaching. This is my 5th year of with Jace. My 5th year, and about the 2nd year. First year was kind of like, you know, getting your feet wet. You're not used to, because all I coached before that was in Little League was baseball. And that's a totally different sport. So I had to learn. I had to start over, and about my 2nd year, I learned that exact thing you just said. A key point in that was know your kids, and I learned that not really the hard way, but I learned quick, and it was very humbling on my behalf because, you know, I tend to forget these kids have another life outside of football.
Right. Amen. Amen.
And when like you said, when they're home and they may not have what they're supposed to have, I don't know that. And I'm not saying that's my fault or anything. I'm just saying I got to take in consideration that because they are, without something that they need, whether it be a parent, just regular things they need during the day. We take for granted sleep.
Right.
Some kids, I got a buddy of mine. We talked, we always talk about, in school how kids used to take naps. And I was like, remember how great it was? Remember how great it was to take a nap in kindergarten?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You take. I mean, and there were kids that didn't want to take naps, and because they either wanting to see what's going on, or they're always look, heads are up and look around like little prairie dogs,
Yeah.
But my buddy says, "Hey, I hated that time," and I said, "Why?" he said that was for kids who didn't get 8 hours of sleep. That was for kids who heard shotguns all night. But even though it's comical and he's probably it's kind of tongue in cheek, he's right though, because you don't realize that kids out there are kids that even go. I mean, the schools that we have here locally. I mean, bless those kids, because they go through a lot going on, and it's just something that we don't understand, because if I get 8 hours sleep, then you're looking at somebody and go, well, why didn't you? You know what I mean? Like, I got it.
Yeah.
Why didn't you? What was wrong? Or you must have stayed up too late. My boy does it all the time. He'll stay up late, and then we got to go somewhere the next day, not for school, but weekend, say, and he'll be dragging. And I'm like, bro, there's an old saying, you can't soar with the eagles if you stay up late with the turkeys. So it's one of those deals. And so long story short, I get all that, and I totally agree with you. I think it's very important psychologically to get involved. I mean, I'm not saying you have to parent a child, but you don't know how many kids have looked up to you. You don't even know that. And they're like, Coach, you may have taught me something that I'll never forget. And that one thing could stick with them for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
So it can be impactful, or it can be very, very, very hurtful with the way you present yourself, I should say.
Yeah. Well, Billy, they don't care. They don't care what you know till they know that you care.
That's right. That's right.
So that's where you need it. That's the jumping off platform. That's what you did with this podcast. You care what other people, how they're thinking, how they're raised, how they're seeing life, and you give them a voice, and you let them go in that creative voice. Yep. That's why I loved your podcast, all the episodes. You basically have letting guys, like Hamber, talking about what his nightmare was, fumbling the ball as a freshman and losing the game, and basically costing a season. And he was so focused that there was nothing beside a state championship was going to replace that.
Right.
He motivated himself, and he carried that on through his whole career, man. Right. So that's his story. I mean, that's basically what you're doing with a podcast is what a lot of people are getting to do just in their small communities. And so bring that awareness. So you're basically teaching awareness to have awareness of what the people that you're involved with, and a good administrator, a good teacher, a good boss, if you will, they're going to have that awareness for their company members, Yeah,
absolutely.
So them, when they become, as a person working wherever they're working, for them to, you want them to have opportunities to see what good leadership looks like, what great leadership looks like. Right. And then also sometimes you're part of organizations, I hate to say it, but programs that have no leadership, where it's just, it's really sad. And then, but the thing is, if you don't provide great leadership to the young people, like what you're doing, you're creating awareness for all your friends, teammates, and classmates of what's going on in their life. You're not trying to keep people marriages together. You're not a marriage counselor. You're not trying to keep a person off of drugs or alcohol. You're not in that area. But what you're trying to do is save a kid.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.